Naming conventions and semantics in vocal technique have always driven me fucking nuts. When I was taking singing lessons in the early 2000s, late 90s, I'd get really frustrated with my singing teachers at the time. They'd be like, okay, let's do it in head voice first just to get a feel of it. And they'd be like, right, now do it in mixed voice. And I'd basically have no idea what they were talking about. I'd go to another singing teacher and they'd be like, will you do it in chest voice? The next guy would be like, mixed voice isn't a thing. Then the next guy would be like, oh, that's falsetto. Then the next singing teacher would be like, why would you want to sing outside your natural range? Like, that's weird. It's weird that you want to sing higher. Just sing it an octave down. That works. Then I'd come back to someone else and it'd be just like, yeah, it's mixed voice. Man, what does all of this stuff mean? And why is it so freaking vague? It used to drive me nuts, and I've actually come to really appreciate the vagueness of naming conventions in vocal technique because it doesn't mean the same thing from singer to singer. It really doesn't. When we're talking about cold, hard facts and frequencies and formants and all of these things, these things are set in stone with a full stop at the end of it, right? But that's not how singing works for you, right? I'm sure you've tried the exercise. I'm sure you've tried all kinds of things, right? And it hasn't necessarily worked for you, even though you know the cold, hard facts. We just did a video about this on this channel. You probably know more about singing in terms of the semantics and naming conventions and terms and M1, M0, whatever it is that people talk about than your favorite singer, but they probably sing better than you, right? That's why they're your favorite singer. They're doing some magical thing that you're struggling to do. Why is singing technique so vague, and what does it really mean? When it comes to singing, it's not really about cold, hard facts of flex this muscle, put your teeth together and put your tongue in this position, flex this muscle, flex that muscle, and you'll just be Freddie Mercury overnight. Because there's kind of an extra element to singing in that you are the instrument. Playing an instrument, you're not putting your finger on the third fret on the A string. You're not putting your second finger on the second fret on the D string, that kind of thing. You are the instrument. And all of your unique experiences as a person. That's why we love singing so much. That's why people are so into singing. It's either a love-hate relationship with singers, right? You guys might not like Guns N' Roses and you might not like Axl Rose very much, but Slash is undeniably one of the greatest guitarists ever, right? You don't even have to like the music or even like, hard rock or whatever you want to call it, classic rock. It's weird to call Guns N' Roses classic rock, but apparently that's what it is these days. It's undeniable. But then you listen to Axl Rose and it's a love-hate relationship. This is so important for you to understand as a singer and as an entertainer. And also when you're taking things from your favorite singers that you love, understanding why you love it. The voice is a tool of expression. We're going to talk about naming conventions in a second. The voice is a tool of expression. It expresses stuff that you probably don't even realize you're expressing. If you speak on the phone to someone that speaks a completely different language to you, you don't understand them. Even if they're trying to hide it, you're going to pick up if they're upset about something. It's in the frequencies of their voice. That's how we communicate outside of language. Take away all language, all English, different languages. Take away YouTube comments. We're still going to be able to communicate based on tone of voice, right? If someone's angry, they're not yelling at you, they're not going nuts, anything like that. You can tell in the tone of their voice that they're a little frustrated about something, right? And your brain is attuned to these frequencies outside of language, outside of words, whatever. The words don't really matter. This is why you love your favorite singers without realizing. There's those singers that you love. They may not even be great singers. I love Iggy Pop. There's something about those Stooges records and his solo stuff as well that just really speaks to me. Mark Lanigan's another one as well. I wouldn't say these guys are particularly the world's greatest, most operatic, classically trained singers ever, but they really speak to me. They really, really speak to me. What is that? That's because what they're expressing is what they're experiencing personally at the time, and it's in the frequencies of their voice, and my brain picks it up. And this is why I dislike certain singers that could be the world's greatest freaking singer, right? There's something in the tone of their voice and frequency of their voice that they're experiencing, or who they are, or whatever they're doing, that it just isn't, I just don't align with in my own personal experience. So I just don't enjoy it, even though they can be the best singer on the planet. And this is what the vagueness of vocal technique is trying to explain to you beyond just flex this muscle, do this thing, make this sound. It means different things to two different singers. Let me give you a really great example of this. I work with a lot of singers from all around the world with different accents, right? The instruction that I give two different singers who have the same voice type, same potential range. They want to sing the same song. The same instruction that I give these two singers is completely different. Say we've got someone from France and they want to sing an Alice in Chains song or a Freddie song or something like that, right? I'm going to do my best to get them to widen their naturally narrowed vowels. That's the nature of French speech and French speaking, right? It's very narrow. That's normal for them. So you want to get that to be really wide so that it's neutral, right? It's not actually going to be wide because it's partially narrowed naturally. Compared to someone from New York with the same voice type, same potential range, working on the same song, everything's the same age, whatever, singing for the same amount of time. They're going to be so freaking wide, man. Hey! I'm going to have to narrow that sucker down for them. So we're going to have two different singers, two guys, the same voice, working on the same song. I'm going to tell one to sing eh, I'm going to tell the other one to sing eh. It's just the nature of singing. And that's why there's this vagueness. I've come to understand there's a difference. There is a difference between a principle, the idea. That's the same for all of us. This idea of free, open, comfortable, repeatable, powerful, beautiful singing. That's a principle. That's the same for me as it is for you. Where you are, what kind of voice you have, whatever you want to learn. How we get there is going to be pretty different. What vowel modification means to you might be different to me. What placement means to you could be totally different. You might have a totally different voice type. What these things means, can be absolutely completely different things, right? Let's talk about registers. This is one of the things that drives me nuts and probably drives you guys nuts too. I get lots of questions from people. Man, is that chest voice? Is that head mix? Is that chest mix? Is that mix? Is it curbing? Ugh. All of these kind of weird terms that quite often are just made up and they're deliberately vague for this reason, right? Say we take a vocal line, right? I wanna lay you down in a bed of roses. Is this mixed voice or chest voice? For tonight I sleep on a bed of nails. Whoa, I wanna be just as close as the Holy Ghost is to lay you down on a bed of roses. This is well out of my chest voice range. So far off the mark of my chest voice that I think it's probably obvious to you guys, right? That's pretty up there in range for me. Might not be up there in range for you. That's fine. Definitely wasn't up there in range for Bon Jovi in his prime, being a tenor. The lower stuff, this really trips people up. The lower stuff in that song, just as an example, with an ironclad fist, I wake up and French kiss the morning. That's his speaking range. That's so far above my speaking range, it's not funny. So for him, it's chest voice going into mixed voice. For me, it's mixed voice going into upper mixed voice. And you can see why there's this vagueness of terms in singing technique, right? You can call it, let's call head voice purple register. And let's call chest voice green register, right? They're two different things. And let's pick a color for mixed voice, right? Let's have red for mixed voice, right? I have to use my mixed voice to sing this. I have to use my red register to sing this, right? You might understand that conceptualization of the different registers in there, or you could just be really technical about it and just be like, man, purple and green don't make red. And then we can have a discussion on color theory, which I know nothing about. We're going to have this big in-depth discussion that doesn't help you sing better. And you're going to do a deep dive on this technical, scientific stuff that doesn't help you sing any better. Or you can go into the concept and you can close your eyes and sing and you can feel into this stuff. And of course, you can peel back the layers of the onion and do a deep dive on to the point that you need. But I suggest simplifying everything as much as possible, because that's what your favorite singers were doing. I don't think Bon Jovi, just as an example, was thinking about chest voice or mixed voice or head voice or anything. I think they just wrote a really great song. They were excited about it. He wrote some lyrics. He sang over it, and that's how he was singing at the time, right? I think his singing changed over time. It's definitely changed over time. But even between the 90s stuff and the 80s stuff, his singing was pretty different between, say, New Jersey, where it's a lot rougher around the edges, to the 90s stuff, which was I mean, he was pretty spot on at that point, and then there was a change in his voice beyond that. When it comes to techniques in singing, it's all about what benefits you. You can call it cat register if you like. You can call it dog register. I don't give a shit. If it makes you change your habits as a singer and it makes you sing better, you've learned something. If you can quote some shit but you can't actually sing better, you haven't learned anything at all. And this is where the naming conventions are deliberately vague in singing, because it means something different to different people. On this channel, I've been trying to really simplify as much as I possibly can and have as many practical instructions as I can. Look, try this. This is the idea, and let's try this. There was a video I did recently where I used a guitar as a teaching guide to explain the human voice. The guitar is not the same as the human voice. I got pulled up on that. It's the same thing as, overtones and all of this kind of stuff. It's just a naming convention to explain a concept so that you guys know how to look at something. It's not about, okay, well, hang on. No, this is different. The fact is this, it's an integer of blah, 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 right? Does it help you sing better? You can make monkey sounds for all I care. If it makes you sing better, that's what you need. And this is why vocal techniques are so vague. Something like inhalare la voce, inhale your voice, or inhale the voice. You're obviously not inhaling your voice. Why are people giving you this wacky instruction? It kind of feels like that when you get it right. It feels like your voice isn't coming out of your mouth. It feels like it's internal, the internal voice, right? Same as open throat. You definitely don't open your throat. You'll notice that people give the instruction, the people that give you the instruction to sing with open throat also give the instruction for you to sing with ping in the vowel. That means a small space, because high frequencies exist in a small space. So they're closing the space and you're trying to wrench your throat open. This literal thing. Singing is all about conceptualizing things because it means something different to you than it does to me. You take two different singers, same voice type, same accent, everything, and they're going to need two different instructions to support the same principle between two singers. Does that make sense? So when I'm singing that Bon Jovi stuff there, I'm not actually thinking about registers at all. I'm not thinking about chest voice. I mean, it's obviously out of my chest voice, but I'm not thinking chest voice, head voice, and mixed voice. I want to shade my head voice with mixed voice. What I'm really thinking about in the moment could be different to when I sing that song tomorrow. That's a really tricky thing to explain. I could sing that same song tomorrow, and I might slightly shade the vowels differently based on what is going on with my voice. This is one of the most important things that people don't understand about warm-ups. It's not about building muscle. It's not about repetition. It's about identifying what's going on with your voice and forming better habits and making better choices. And then for that day, you really put your attention on the thing that's not working. Then the next day, there could be something else that's not working that great, right? When you go down a path of the cold, hard facts of I do this to sing well, this is why singers lose their voices when they get older. This is why people lose their range. This is why people blow out their voices. They're using the same instruction, but the voices are variable. Remember, we're expressing something. We feel different every day, and the voice wants to express how you feel, yet you're giving the same instruction every single day. The most important thing that you need to understand about vocal technique and terms and concepts and naming conventions is that they're all conceptual, designed to help support the principle of free, easy, comfortable, repeatable, powerful singing. The technique itself does nothing for you except support that principle, right? Vowel modification doesn't do anything for you if you're not supporting correctly. Supporting the voice really well doesn't do anything for you unless you sing your vowels correctly. And this all just comes together as one voice to support the principle of free, easy, powerful singing. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we're going to talk soon.